In studio with me, Laura Tarket-Johnson. How are you, Laura?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, our pleasure. So Laura is the owner of T is for Table. I first of all, I really was enjoying going through your website and looking at all the dinnerware and the stemware and all the items that you have for purchase. And there's a really cute little like a digital playmate placemaker set that you can do.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. It's for a place setting. You can
place
create
setting.
your own place setting
Yeah,
virtually. So
yeah.
you can just bring in a charger, you can bring in a different dinner plate, you can really play, and it
Yeah.
makes it really fun to be able to see what you can create with. So yeah, that's great that
Yeah.
you were able to find
Yeah,
that, do that.
and it was super user friendly, right? I was clicking on all the things,
Mm.
and I went for an eclectic look and an all matched look, and it was a lot of fun for me, just entertainment for
Right,
myself, really.
right. Yes.
So, Laura, you have an extensive background in retail.
Yes.
Yes. So, tell me from when you were little and wanted to be maybe a cowgirl or a rock star, or and how you ended up in retail.
Well, that's a very good question. Actually, I think when I was growing up, I thought I would be an entertainer of some sort.
Okay.
Yeah, a jazz singer,
Oh.
that clearly never happened. And so I think as I grew older, I wanted to be a fashion designer.
Wow.
Yes, and then so that was really, I set my sights on that, and so went to a fashion merchandising and design school that did fashion design, interior design, as well as fashion merchandising and marketing. And I think when I got there, understood that this was, I'm dating myself, but pre-computer,
Okay.
right? So a lot of it was on so much of illustration, and I didn't really have enough talent to be able to produce what I needed to produce. So I, had to take a step back and said, merchandising, fashion merchandising, and marketing is probably a better fit for me
It's a
and what my
hard
skill set. It
realization.
was a hard realization,
Yeah.
but it ended up being great. You had exposure to all kinds of design um, and art history, things that I was very passionate about. But what happened out of that, my first job out of there was in retail, and I caught that retail bug and ended up staying in retail.
Oh.
And
Is that a typical move for people that, because fashion is really, really tough to get into that market?
it is, and back at that time, I really had thought, I'll get in on a ground level, and I thought I would want to be a buyer.
Okay.
And I have a high math aptitude, and I thought, well, that would be something that would be great. And then the further I got into it and really observed a little bit of that, it can be very volatile in those positions. And at that point in time, it again wasn't so computer based, and it was more gut based. And it was I think I liked stability a little bit more than the turn that I saw in that position. So I decided to go on and become a leader. And so that's what I really pursued is going through store manager, district manager, regional director, and it was my passion was for people and leading people. So that's what I really spent, gosh, the last 24 years of my career was really leading people.
Yeah. One of the things that as I continue to do interviews, and we cover a slew of industries across Colorado and nationally, right? One of the big things that everyone talks about, no matter what industry they're in, is falling in love with the people, whether it's the team they work with or the customers that they have, which is really surprising to me given the way that our society kind of is like, I hate the public, right? And the public
It's
can be
true.
overwhelming to deal with, for sure.
It can be, but it's so interesting, and what I was doing before, it was my love of the people that I worked with, and the development piece, and even today, when you hear back from somebody that you were able to mentor or work with, how rewarding that relationship is, even today. And so I think, and when I left the previous company I was with, the biggest part, you felt like you were getting a divorce
Yeah.
because it was 24 years with the same, pretty much a lot of the same people. So, Yes, I would say that was the biggest passion piece.
Yeah.
Yes.
So have you been able to carry that over into your new industry?
The people piece,
Yes.
what's so interesting is now it's the people piece that's my customer.
Okay.
And that it was a surprise. That was not something I was anticipating. I I would say if there's one thing I love the most about what I'm doing right now is again the people and the customer that I get to work with has been delightful. I rarely have a customer that is just not easy to work with and doesn't make my day. And I was not anticipating that. I had been very far removed from the first line customer for
Okay.
many years. And so having that has been so refreshing. And like I said, I think it was my biggest surprise, but what I love the most.
That is interesting
Yeah.
because a lot of times in the retail industry specifically, and I'm gonna go ahead and say hospitality matches that
Hmm.
too a little bit. A lot of times you don't hear it when you're in upper management and management positions, you don't hear about the first about customers, right?
Hmm.
Unless they have something wrong, an issue with
Right.
either one of your employees or a product that you're selling.
Right. No,
So
it's true.
yeah, and a lot of times it tends to give you kind of a bad taste in your mouth for
Hmm.
customers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that is an interesting turn of events that now you're like, oh, this is great.
It
People are
is. It's
awesome.
wonderful. Yes. Yes. I think it's um, spurred on more hope for humanity as opposed to maybe what I would have had before because it was a lot of problem solving and dealing with unsatisfied or dissatisfied. So yeah, this has been delightful. I've had some people that I've met that I'm so surprised I would never have thought I would ever meet people that are the people that are coming in.
Yeah.
They have amazing stories and amazing backgrounds um, and I'm still because I'm new still have some time that I'm able to really have really good conversations with people. So it's been wonderful.
Building those relationships is definitely key, especially in the retail industry.
It is.
Hmm.
Relationships, I think specifically in what we do at T is for Table, because we do a lot of custom. We are a luxury company, so people are going to expect more because they are going to pay more for the product that they're receiving, and so that customer experience has got to be right on. We've got to have that customer leave like they have had the best experience and that they feel as though they are receiving what they paid for and more.
Right.
Yes.
You know, I found if you get people drunk, they're pretty good responders.
Yeah,
You know?
you are right.
That's been my experience in
Yes,
hospitality and
very,
retail.
yes, you're absolutely right.
Tell me about Tia's for Table. So you started in January of 2017?
Well, that's when I signed, well, didn't completely sign a lease, but signed the intent for a lease was
Okay.
then. So a little bit what happened, I was with a company that downsized, my position was eliminated. I had to figure out, do I continue and do another corporate position or do I do something for myself? And so I took that design background and passion that I had years ago and said, I think this is something I'd really like to explore more. And so I started to look into different opportunities. And I have somebody that I used to work with that owned her own business called Tia's for Table and asked her to vet some of the ideas and to say, what do you think of some of these? And she said, have you ever considered opening a Tia's for Table and let's see what we could do with a licensing agreement.
Okay.
So I said, I'd been in her store, but I hadn't spent time in her store. So I spent some time in the fall, a couple different times going out and really spending time in the store, observing, um, looking at it from a different perspective. I knew that at one time I'd always talked about having my own business, and I don't really love to cook, but I love to
Me
entertain.
either.
I
I'm in the
love to
same boat.
entertain.
I'm so good at going to King Supers and buying the right food to serve to people.
Yeah.
That's where the pre-made, I'm so good at that.
Right. Yeah. So, I always say, hey, look, hey, we can have it here, but everyone has to bring food. But I just loved all that went to entertaining. And even in my previous job, it was the meetings and setting up environments in which people could learn, and it was all about the details, and I really loved that piece. So we spent some time together and created an agreement, which is challenging to do when you're taking a very good friend and then coming up with an agreement, because it's not just about what you want for you, it's what it is for the other person as well, because you value that relationship. So we came up with an agreement, and once we did that, then it was okay. I've got to find a location, and I knew what I wanted, and because I'd been in retail for so long, I knew where I wanted to be, and then it just took hours of going to location, going to location, going to location.
That is
So,
everything, right? That's the number one rule in real estate.
you know what?
Always.
You're right. It is.
Yeah.
I think I just said that 3 times, not on purpose.
But just a little bit of background here now. Your friend has a store in Florida.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So she started the business. So the business has been in business for 18 years.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's an established business, and so this was really great for me because going into my own venture, I had a mentor, an immediate mentor, and
Which
so
is lovely and hard to come by.
yes, it was amazing, and that's what I hope one day I would be able to pay forward, being a mentor or the things that I've experienced. Being able to pass that along, which I think is very important, because with that, and even though she didn't tell me all the secrets, which maybe we'll talk about later, which I've since chastised her for and saying, you didn't tell me about that. But it was great to have a mentor. And so we went to market in January, and I went to a couple markets. And so I had a great introduction to the market, because it can be very overwhelming. And so it was that was the best part of being able to take this leap, was to be able to have that mentorship.
Oh, that's wonderful. So yeah, I did not realize that that she had been in business for 18 years,
Yes.
and this is your first year. So how has this first year looked for you in the Colorado store? When did you open your doors, and walk me through that process a
Sure.
little bit?
So we did a soft opening the end of April of last year, and then an official grand opening the first weekend of May. And it was probably one of the most challenging things I'd ever done, especially labor intensive wise. Just even though I was told to be prepared for that, I thought, "Oh, I worked retail forever, I'm fine." And then I was like, okay, maybe I'm not so fine. This was really labor intensive. And so we got everything ready to open. We opened the stores. And so we've been open, a year and 4 months, something like that. At first, it was, opening the doors and thinking everyone would come. Not really.
Bursting it like they're
right, yeah.
wrapped up around
Here we are.
Yes.
Aren't
Did you
gonna-
hear about us?
Aren't you coming? But I did join the chamber, and so that's been a great thing, because I've had great chamber support.
Yes.
And the South Metro Chamber.
Yes, South Metro
Yes.
Denver Chamber, which is actually how I got a hold of you.
Yeah, so they've been very, very supportive. And so that was something, and then immediately really how I was going to market and do some things to let people know about T is for Table. So, we do a lot of our own inside marketing from customers we already have, but then utilizing Facebook and Instagram, but then also looking at what are the other ways that I can really communicate to the customer that I know is my customer. And so, so the first, I'm prepared for the fact that the first 3 years are building years, but the first year was a little more building than what I was anticipating,
Yeah, you said labor intensive. Did you mean physical labor?
Oh, physical.
Oh, really? Okay, that is surprising to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my previous job that I worked with, it was we dealt in very small accessories. So we'd always tell people, it's a piece of cake when you get your shipment in. It's pretty easy to put shipment out. This one of the things that Michelle neglected to tell me from TS for Table in Florida was that you should space out your shipments when you're waiting for seasonal shipments to come.
Oh.
So when I had been at market in January, I told everybody, I was like, yeah, August 1st, that's a good day, to be receiving Christmas goods. That's great. Okay, every company delivered that same week.
Oh, no.
Every company. So I had, and we're talking like pallets of boxes. And on top of it, I had just had back surgery.
Oh, no. Right? Well, of course you did, because Murphy's Law applies
did.
everywhere.
Oh my gosh. So I felt so much better after back surgery because the beforehand was the horrible part. But it was, you could only laugh. You could just literally sit and look down the hall at all the boxes and out the door into the corridor, and you really had to just laugh.
And it's dishware. It's not like these are
dishware.
Small accessories.
It's dishware, and it was a lot of seasonal. So we were getting in Christmas trees and Christmas ornaments, and some things that were too heavy for me, so I'd have to wait. And then my living room in my house became a big warehouse of Christmas trees and Christmas wreaths, and so it was funny. So you can only laugh.
Of course,
to go
right?
through it.
What else are you going to do?
So now, since then, I learned the hard way, and she goes, "Oh yeah, honey, I really should have told you that." And I said, "Yeah, that was a key thing. You should have told me." But now I'm smarter, and now I, have they
slower and pacing it.
Yeah, each company gets a week that they can deliver, as opposed to everybody on the same day. But and you're also running a very small skeleton crew, because you're a small business and you don't know what to anticipate. So really it was myself, my daughter came to help, my husband who was helping, and a couple other people, so it was, my sister-in-laws came to help ticket, and it was really nice, and we just kind of all did it together.
Yeah, you made the best out of a hard situation.
Yes. And I've learned seasonality, being open a year. I know which months that I know are going to be pretty dry, and other months that I know, okay, they don't call it Black Friday for not
nothing.
A good reason.
Yeah.
It's fourth quarter is where you really make your money. So
interesting. I guess I'm a buyer year round for Christmas gifts, because if I see something that I know somebody's going to like, I'll just go ahead and get it then. A lot of times what I end up doing is forgetting that I have it in my closet, and then I still go at the end of November and get a gift again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I never really thought about that.
Well, and it's entertaining season. So you're thinking, hostess gifts, as well as just needing things to entertain for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. So it's that whole entertaining piece, as well as we do a lot of Christmas decor. Yeah.
Well, and I love this, that it's a learning curve for both you and Michelle, right?
Right.
Right? She's learning, this is something that I've taken for granted, or I didn't stress very much on this and I really should have. So you guys are in it together. So
we are in it together. And it's interesting because at the beginning of the year, she also decided to open a small satellite store in West Palm. And so it was great that then she could take some of the learnings that we had before, and it made, I think, it easier for her to open that satellite. So it was good.
Yeah, because technology's changed quite a bit in the last 18 years. So I'm sure from when she opened to begin with.
Yes, absolutely.
How's that been impacting you?
A couple of things. I have a concern in one aspect, because being in the corporate sector, you stay on top of and abreast of all of the latest and current technology that there is. And so I was very fortunate to have a lot of that key learning while I was there.
Yes.
And so you do get a little concerned that you're going to lose some of that opportunity to continue to learn. So that's one of my, challenges, is how do I keep myself current in today's technology?
Okay.
Because if you don't stay current, you'll get left behind. But I was also fortunate because I did have the experience I had getting into and learning a system that's good for your store, And being able to do that and know how a dashboard works, know what that system can really do for you was really helpful. So I'm able to see categories and, you have a gut of what's selling, but you're really able to decipher and dig down a little deeper into what your system provides. So that's good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
And you can see the trends right away,
You can
right?
see
You
the
know.
trends. Yes.
And speaking of trends, can I ask you about online purchasers versus in-store purchasers? Do you see a lot of
Yes.
difference there?
Yes, we don't have a real strong online presence. I mean, we
Okay.
have a presence,
Right.
but we don't really have people when they're shopping for what we have will come into the store unless they're not living close, and then they'll go on and they'll take a look. And we have a great website that you can purchase, but I think a lot of times people want to see it, which is wonderful,
Mm-hmm.
for us because they do want to see it in person. What's great about our online is with our bridal registries is
Okay.
that we do have an online way that people can make purchases and they can track purchases. So therefore, a bride can come in, they can register, and then anybody all over the country can purchase for them from their tablet, from their phone. So it makes it really convenient. So I would say that's the biggest thing that we do from that standpoint. But really, we're an experience store, and we actually have a table set up that we help a lot like the virtual place setting.
Okay.
Well, we'll start and we'll build, and it's really nice for people to be able to see what they can do in pulling a table scape all together, or maybe they just want to put a centerpiece together. But it's definitely experiential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, so are registries, wedding registries big for you guys? Is that one of a bigger market for
That
you?
is one of those opportunities that I want to continue to grow. We've had a couple of registries, which is great,
Yeah.
but there's an opportunity to continue to build that piece. So that was coming into this year, that was one of my big strategies is how can I continue to work on that piece of it. I would say the registries are different than what they, even between Michelle and I, they're different. Um, Being that she's in more the South, China's still a very big thing, whereas here it's really all about your stoneware and Colorado lifestyle. Although we carry some beautiful china in the store, that it's interesting. That's not what our brides are buying, but that's what people, once the kids have gotten out of the house, they're coming in
Two
and getting
minutes.
it for them, which I think is great. So,
That is
yeah,
great.
so but it's an opportunity to continue to build.
I had a question because I was looking through again the website, which is it's awesome. But I looked at your Instagram too, so I'm gonna have to come visit the store regardless. Um, have you thought about it all renting any of the glassware somewhere to wedding parties?
It's interesting you say that. There's an opportunity to do something there like that. We don't carry that depth of stock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that would be a big endeavor to go that deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, into any that would be for a wedding. But
Yeah.
there are companies that do that.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
yeah, but that's not what our forte is.
Well, that's
Yeah.
okay. Maybe
Yeah. I
maybe
know.
further out.
Maybe just the bride and groom can have the beautiful place setting.
Yes. Ooh, right?
That's an idea.
That is an idea. And you can work specifically with those companies.
Right, right.
Yes, because we know Colorado's huge about collaboration.
Yes.
It's big. When we come back, I want to talk to you more about the differences between the Colorado and Florida stores. And we're also going to get onto the little bit on the legislative side of things and small business and how that's impacted, and a little bit by NAFTA tariffs that are going on. And
Yeah.
yeah, we got to touch on those
Oh,
big subjects that are
big subjects.
yes, exactly. So be sure to stay with us here on Connect and Collaborate. I'm talking with Laura Tarket-Johnson with T is for Table. In the meantime, please like and subscribe our YouTube page. Check out tisfortable.com. Be sure to check out this podcast more at cobrt.com/radio-podcast. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Connect and Collaborate. Once again, I'm Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer, and we have had the pleasure all week to talk about retail industry. So again, I have in studio with me Laura Tarket-Johnson with T is for Table. Fascinating conversation that we've been having, and I told everyone about my online experience with your store, and we mentioned that your Michelle, your partner, she started in Florida 18 years ago, and you have been in Colorado officially for a little over a year and 4 months, you said. First of all, happy anniversary, belated anniversary.
Thank
there.
you.
You're
I know,
welcome.
it was a big celebration. It was so exciting.
That is exciting. That is very exciting.
It is.
Yeah. We were, when we left off in our last segment, we were talking about Florida versus Colorado, right? And you had mentioned that because she's in the South, for a lot of registries for weddings and things, China is very big, which I grew up in Kentucky, so I can attest to that. I do see that, and I understand it.
Yes.
Whereas in Colorado, it's more of a stoneware. Is
Yes.
what your bride.
More of a Colorado lifestyle,
right?
For certain. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit more about the differences between Florida and Colorado, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. It's so funny when I would describe it at times. I'd say, well, she does starfish and seashells, and I do deer heads and, antlers. And so, but that seems funny, but it's very accurate.
Yeah.
Where I will do a lot more wood. And, we have a lot more wood tables. People in Colorado seem to really want to show their tables. So where runners might be more important to my business, tablecloths are more important to her business.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting the way that really is working. But it's been really interesting to see. She also has heavy retirement. And snowbird, so really her summers are very, very soft, whereas I'm still trying to figure out what summer is for certain going to be here. And, but she is very busy in the first quarter, and that's really a very soft time for me. So it's interesting how our businesses, because geographically we're different, as seasonality will be different as well as what we carry will be different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that because you do have an online presence, you can give that different presence, right? It's not just a Colorado-based store. It's not just a Florida-based store. And so it makes for the registries, anyone, anywhere in the U.S., no matter where they're
Absolutely.
registered. Yeah.
Michelle had to end up she manages our website, and she had to end up putting a lot of additional pieces on there. And I'm thinking how great that is, because there's no way you can carry everything that there is to carry. So the best part of it is you can carry this, and you'd say, if you go online, you can also see this and this and this. We market to our customers lookbooks, and there will be clicks in the lookbook that you can go straight to the website to be able to purchase from the website as well. So it's set up very well that you're able to do that, and that way there's so much more available to somebody.
Yes. Now, one of the things that I definitely have to touch on here, I'd be remiss if I didn't, is the online presence versus in-store, right? You are a small business.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Both in Florida and Colorado.
Yes.
And so what we're seeing now is a little bit of pull between, right? We've got our Amazons out there, and everyone loves to order their things, and it just shows right up at their door, which is lovely, right? That's
right.
great, a great thing to have. Myself, when I'm thinking about niche items, right, that I want, I would rather go to a boutique and go to a small business that's locally owned and look there, right? I want to keep my money in my community, but I think we see more millennials pulling that way too, right? Like, I'll get my toilet paper from Amazon, that's fine.
I think that's 100%. I think you're starting to see that the non-food type items, well, food now with Whole Foods, so you're seeing those types of things that, but yeah, I have 3 millennials, and I know that they're very into local businesses. Yeah. So thank goodness, I know that they see that. And I have one specifically that can't ever see herself working for a corporation, but I'm thinking, never say never, right? Yeah. Student loans, we did talk about that. That's when it comes down to the experience. You have to give them a reason to want to come into your front doors and then come back.
Right.
And so I had the opportunity in my previous position to be able to work on an experience that was able to roll out company-wide. And because of that amazing experience I had, I feel like, I certainly don't want to say expert, I use that very loosely, but I have the experience to be able to immediately know I wanted to create an amazing experience for people that walked through the store and what it would take to do that, and how you need to make sure you show off the store, and you have to let customers know what are the things that make you special. Mm-hmm. The fact that we do custom linens. We can do linens to fit any size of table.
Wow.
And it's hard to even find a tablecloth anymore, let alone one that will exactly fit your table, and you get to pick out the fabric. How fun is that? And you liked the virtual place setting. Well, the fact that you can go through fabrics and say, well, this is what is going to make my table look beautiful. Mm-hmm. Because, really setting a table is about creating stories and creating a place in which you can meet with family and friends and have a gathering. And really, what we hope to do at Tia's for Table is to have all the ingredients to create the foundation for you to be able to have an amazing experience with your family and friends. So with that, if you get to create more of what you do and how you want to personalize it, how fun is that? So we do a lot of custom things. And another really fun thing that we do are custom placemats, where you pick out a wonderful fabric and you can create this beautiful placemat. And so those are some of the reasons that people are going to want to come back in. We offer unique finds. That's one of the things that we do hear from our customers is, I've not ever seen things like this. You have such unique gifts. Well, that's part of the fun for Michelle and I, is going to market and finding the unique finds that you're not going to find everywhere else, because that's what keeps us fresh. And again, unique for somebody to come in. What do they have in now? What am I going to find when I go to Tia's for Table? And so we have got to work really hard at that. Mm-hmm. And I would say that that's one of the key things in this retail, industry right now, is how do I keep them in my brick and mortar and not online?
Right.
And that's relationship building, mm-hmm. because I want my customers to want to come back in and see the store, see me. That it's so important.
Yes. And I didn't even think about the little pieces, right, that you guys get to go shop for and things like that. But one of my favorite things, and for every ex that I've gone to a family dinner, Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, one of the big pieces of conversation that we have is the center. The centerpiece. The centerpiece of the table.
Absolutely.
Right? Everyone loves, well, thank you. I made this, or I found it at this store, right?
It is.
It's a conversation starter, and to be able to talk a little bit and get your referrals and name out that way is wonderful.
Yes, and we have people come in and say, this is what I'm looking at, or they'll show us, this is my table, this is what I'm looking at doing. And so you do feel like you're even being invited into their home.
Yeah.
Because they're showing you pictures, or even when they've taken something home and they've set it, they come back and show pictures. How wonderful is that? Because you do feel as though it's an intimate experience that you're having.
Yeah, you helped them. You helped them create that.
Yeah, and then they're excited about it. And
yeah. Now, do you ever run into a time that you have somebody that's kind of trying to design a layout for a table for Thanksgiving, and you're like, these pieces are horrible together, why would you pick this? Does that ever happen to you? Does your inner designer just
not yet
cringe?
Sometimes we do bring some additional things in and kind of help with some of that. I don't think we've had people that come in that are completely off.
Okay.
I
might be one of those people. I'm trying to brace
be really
myself.
Difficult. Usually they're pretty honest when they come in and they're like, I have no idea what to do. Help me.
Yeah.
And then we can help pull things together. But I'll let you know when that happens.
Yeah, I might be that story you tell. She picked up
I'll
these
keep it
hideous
my
blue
back
and brown. So continuing on this talk about small business,
Yes.
though, right? We got a lot of impacts these days. I know that legislation is changing a little bit. We know that the marketplace, especially in Denver, is growing, right? We just keep people keep pouring in.
Yes.
So it's raising rates for rent and for mortgages, right?
Yes.
So talk a little bit about the impact of legislation and rates.
Well, so that's a lot
That
right
is a
there.
lot.
It was interesting because you think about the growth happening in Colorado right now, and well, this would be great for a home decor gift store. But I think what we've also found is that people are a little house poor right now. The mortgages are so high and it's so hard to get into, especially as a first time home buyer. But even if you're selling your home, you still have to go and find another place that you can buy,
Yeah.
And so there's not the disposable income that there once was.
Okay.
And I think that that's a little bit of a challenge, and that's why we have decided that we also have to offer, although we're really luxury in what we carry, that we try to carry things for all
Budget.
budgets.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for all budgets, so that that we can really help somebody feel really good about what they're creating, and their dinner table, as well as what gifts they're giving, because we can do a gift as little as $10 up to really whatever they would like to spend.
Yeah.
So I think that that's because we do. We have some clients that we work with for holiday gifts for corporations. So we're able to pull fabulous things together. And we've got that because we are a small business, we can help somebody that way as opposed to trying to find something online or what you can do in a different aspect. So anyway, I think that that's interesting in the growth that's happening in Denver. And so we hope that that continued growth will end up being a good thing, as maybe the housing market levels off a little bit, which would be good. And I think anytime you have to readjust a budget, you kind of readjust and then you're able to look
Get a
at
better
things
grasp.
again. Yes.
Yes.
As far as different legislation, I'd say there's a couple things that are challenging right now. I don't pay minimum wage for the people that work for me. I know that if I want that experience, I have to pay more than minimum wage. However, minimum wage has now gone up. And so now that it's approaching to what I'm already paying, it's, I'm going to have to go up again in what I'm paying. And as a small business owner, payroll is one of your largest expenses. And that's very challenging right now, as well as say tax rates go up, right? As tax rates go up, then that affects you if you're in a mall or a property in which you pay charges of things like that. And so all of that continues to go up for us. And as a small business owner, it does become really challenging. I think I also heard that the unemployment rate is at an all-time, low. So when you look at that, I think that was a challenge at first. Now that I've been around for a while, more people have gotten to know me, and I've been able to get some wonderful people on board. But at first, it was challenging because, that market to pull from was until people really knew what I was.
Right.
And so you look at those are some challenging things. We had talked a little bit off air about the tariffs and different things. That is going to end up impacting us because we carry all of our stoneware is from Italy and Portugal. All of our china is from England and France. All of our, you look at seasonal goods. Seasonal goods usually come from the Asian markets, And so when you look at maybe whether it's China or India or things like that that are your seasonal goods, all of that will at some point really start to affect the pricing even at your store. And so everyone, I think, is going to be challenged as we continue to see how things change in our marketplace. I think it's not easy. I mean, nobody ever said, I didn't go into this saying, small business, that's going to be easy, right? I mean,
I don't think anybody thinks that.
Yeah. I was up for the challenge. I was like, this is going to be great because it's going to be fun. It's going to be a challenge and I'm going to continue to learn. But, on the other hand, you are obstacles that you don't necessarily anticipate. And then you have to figure out how you're going to, you know,
Combat that. Do
hmm
you have a plan in place for this tariff rising situation? And I certainly
yeah.
don't want you to spill any beans if you've got a secret sauce there that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, my secret sauce. I don't have a secret sauce. I think, we continue to look at, what things we will continue to carry. And we do pride ourselves in what we do carry is very high quality goods. And so with that, that's what we want to continue to be known for. And there's a niche for everything. You can go in and be in home goods and home decor, and there's different places to be, and we chose to be in that luxury market. And that's where we want to continue to be, is in that luxury market. And there will always be that niche there, but I have a feeling that it will change. But I also think in the same end, it's going to, the companies that are more global and what they bring in, I think it's really going to affect them more so as well. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be very interesting to see all the dynamics and how that's, we also have a lot of made in the USA product as well, which I think is really good.
Yes.
And we've got some incredible, that's looking at some of those niche type of brands that you bring in that are just wonderful, and they're USA made. And I think that's, going to be key as well. And I think it's going to be, US is going to have to step up on what we are providing, to our own country. Which may be a whole big opportunity.
What a great perspective on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be interesting.
That will be interesting for sure. I'm going to change up our conversation here and talk a little bit about customer stories for me, if you don't mind. Is there, because again, you've been in business for a little bit over a year now. Was there a first customer, or so far has there been a customer that really just resonated with you?
Well, I can tell you of somebody that has become a dear friend of mine at this point, which is one of those that I would never have expected that I would meet. But this is a gentleman that came in, and it was during a holiday, and he was looking for a small picture frame because every year for his ex-wife, he takes a Christmas stamp and puts it in a picture frame and sends it to her. And I said, well, that's so beautiful. And he said, well, I've got this trip that I'm going to be taking. And he's an elderly gentleman that lives in the area. And he said, but I'm going to, because I offered a gift, we do complimentary gift wrapping as one of our services that we do.
Mark that box.
I know.
Yes.
That is amazing. We try to, and we also ship for people. So literally, we are the place to come to really help you out so you don't have to worry about anything.
Yes.
We can take care of that for you. But so I said, well, bring it back and I'll wrap it and I'll ship it for you. So he said, well, I'll take you up on that. And he came back, and he is the most beautiful human being and has become this amazing friend. And he comes back and probably once every couple of months, and we have a wonderful conversation. I also so anyway, not to discount, it's been something unexpected that I had just from somebody coming in during the Christmas holiday season. And I also, on a side note of a customer, I also have the privilege of bringing my dog to work every day. Oh. And when you get to be your own boss, that's what you get to do. And so I have my little pug, Millie, that comes to the store every day. Well, Millie has her own little visitors as well.
I'm sure.
So I have people come in just to visit Millie, which is just the best thing, and she just loves that. So that's been, most people in Colorado are huge dog lovers.
Yes.
So they will come in and see Millie, which is very sweet. I also have from customers that I think I alluded to, they share stories about, they came in and their daughter their son and daughter-in-law now were getting ready to get married, and they really needed help with a gift to do for their the wedding as well as a shower. Okay. And to have them come back in and share with me how wonderful it was and how much the daughter-in-law appreciated, and they showed me a picture of where she had set and how she had set the table out from what they had given to her. It's things like that that really meant so much to them that you feel so gratified that they are happy. So and there's stories upon stories about that. We have people that come in that, might, we'll name them maybe the little tree lady, because she comes in and bought the little tree and then has all the, and so we can't wait to see her because that reminds us of a happy time when she was so excited about what she was taking home. But we do, like I said, our customer base is the most wonderful customer base, and really, I did not anticipate that.
Yeah. Well, and you get this neat little inside outside look at people's lives.
You do.
It's like you're sitting at their table. You're not physically there, but
Yes.
when they come and share those stories with you, it's like you get to be a part of Thanksgiving dinner.
Absolutely. And I really that brings so much joy to my life.
I love
So
that.
it's really wonderful.
Any pieces of advice for somebody who's looking to walk away from a corporate world into doing small business and to owning their own business?
There are possibilities I didn't know about until I started looking into things a little bit more. I had things fall in place for me. I felt like it was very divinely structured,
Yeah.
that things just happened, and I thought, okay, God's got a place in this for me as I was going through. And I would say do your research, because if you do your research, there are ways in which you can go and leave corporate and do something on your own. There's funding out there that I didn't know existed until I started researching more.
Yeah.
And and how I was able to do that. I never thought I thought I would have to put, my entire house up. And I thought, oh, I just feel too guilty. You do have to sign your entire life away. But, I think there are possibilities, and there's so many franchises out there. I had no idea until I started researching and I went to a couple classes. I had no idea. And so I think if you start giving yourself some time to really look into things a little further, there are great possibilities out there. And it's different, and it's a way to keep learning and expanding. And today's, it's a good time to, be looking at. And Colorado is very open and very receiving to a small business. It's a great small business community.
It really is. One of the things that I have learned here in the last 6 months or so that I've been hosting the show, I've been here for 2 years, at least observing the show. But one thing that everybody says when they come into the studio is that collaboration is huge in Colorado, whether it's big corporations working with smaller entities, government working with business. Everyone is really on this collaboration bandwagon. Is there a collaboration that you have been really proud of that you guys have fostered?
Well, it's hard to say on what level you're really looking for, but what I've also found as an opportunity was we got to be involved with a nonprofit, and with the Children's Diabetes Foundation. So we were able to work with them and be able to get involved in some sort of a charity, which was a wonderful thing. Being part of the chamber is also great, because not only are you just interacting with people from the chamber, but people from your community. And we do have people that want to interact and do things. And at the Streets at South Glen, it's full of small businesses. We do a ladies' night, things like that. So it's really wonderful.
That is really awesome. Laura, it has been a pleasure having you on to cap off our conversation on retail this week. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Again, visit tisfortable.com to check out all of her wares. Go to the store. Where is that at again?
It's at the Streets at South Glen and Centennial.
Perfect. And be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube page while you're here. Check out this podcast and more at cobrt.com/radio-podcast. Check out our events page and sign up for our newsletter while you're on our website as well. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Thank you so much, Laura.
Thank you.
Yeah.